Hello, everybody. We got,
TF.
we got such an amazing group of people here, and an amazing film. Okay, Judas and the Black Messiah. I got a chance to see it very early, and I was blown away. And I think being from Chicago, this is a story that it's like a bedtime story you hear. It's almost folklore. But what Fred Hampton means to Chicagoans specifically is something very significant. And so I know we have a short period of time, but I do, and a lot of questions I'm asking, like everybody can jump in. One of my questions is for a story about one of our Black messiahs, why did you decide it was important to tell the story through the Judas character?
Well, it wasn't so much. So we, first of all, it came in the package, the
Right.
packaging of the film. When the film was pitched to me, it was pitched as the Departed inside the world of COINTELPRO. So that immediately made it
a wonderful
a two-hander.
And great character.
It's one of the best. It's a genius pitch. And it's funny because initially, and you learn this in the podcast that we have that Shaman Fred's doing. He talks about how when we first approached him with the script, we portrayed William O'Neill and Fred Hampton as friends because the story that we'd heard that was in all the texts that we'd read was that William O'Neill was Fred Hampton's bodyguard. And it was only in speaking with Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. that we found out that wasn't the case, that they weren't friends. They didn't have a relationship. So, and the only way that he was comfortable moving forward with us is if we made that very clear. And so we had to go back to square one and completely change our approach to telling the story. And as opposed to it being about this betrayal that happened amongst friends, it ended up being this movie that was really about these two guys kind of in a lot of ways living very separate lives in some ways, even though they were connected, you know what I mean? And so if you really look at the film, it's not so much we're telling the movie from O'Neill's perspective as much as there's his perspective, and then there's really Fred's story told from the perspective of Deborah Johnson. She's the audience surrogate for that narrative, for that portion of the narrative. So it's a trick that we kind of pull on you because we're so used to undercover movies as being from the POV of the guy who's infiltrated the organization, and we use the interview as a device, but really it's a manipulation.
Right, right. And I also think, and also you're leading me to my next question about Deborah. So Dominique, I will get to you in a second. But I also love just the examination of that character, of Lakeith's character, in terms of what we as a people have been forced to do to each other based on the oppressor's overall plan. I think there's something to be said about how we've been taught to trade each other in for comfort, for safety, things like that. The fact that positions we should never be put in the first place. And so I think that's what made it very interesting. And also I think I understand how you kind of frame that story, but also getting to Deborah, that's where I was going to get to. Dominique, you got a chance to spend time with her, correct?
Yes.
And how, I'm sure that must have been life-changing, which obviously Daniel speaks about as well. How much, and Daniel speaks very eloquently about how much of himself he gave to this character. How much of yourself did you not only give to Deborah, but how much of yourself did you find in her?
Yeah. I say this quite often, but I feel like growing up in East New York, Brooklyn, and navigating this industry as a young Black woman is very likely to kind of get hard. If I hear something like what that means, I'm ready to like poke up. And
hard.
It wasn't until I got with this cast and crew that I realized I didn't have to be like that I was safe to be who I was. And in order to bring Deborah to life and in that way, I had to trust, because she had to have a softness about her. And I remember meeting Mama Akua when we, went to Chicago and sat around a table for over 7 hours. She said, the Panthers were very disciplined. They didn't speak out of turn. And there was just some things that I say in the script that she would have never said to Chairman Fred. And that really let a light bulb go off in my head, because I was thinking these lines they don't have no attitude behind them. She's not cursing them out. Like, what could she mean? And it wasn't until I started learning and trusting Daniel and my cast that I was able to say, oh, even if we disagree, or if I'm passionate about something, I don't have to talk in a loud voice. I don't have to be defensive. And so Chairman Fred, he's a listener. He gets people to trust in him. And when you trust, you don't have to be that way. So it allowed me in a different way. And I left feeling changed. I knew unconditional love. I knew self-love differently. I left looking for self-determination and realizing that freedom is all in the mind, through meditation, through journaling. And I feel like there was a threshold of womanhood that I knew was there, but I didn't know how to cross by myself. And I call this like a boys club, but ironically, I feel like I crossed that threshold being here.
Well, you're the heartbeat of the film. I don't think I'm offending anyone when I say that. And it is a quiet performance. Funny enough, I didn't think about that until hearing you say what you just said, that you draw us in. You draw Fred in, with your grace, your poetry, literally and figuratively, but also your perspective. You give him you have a point of view as well. And I thought that is very important, that shines through so beautifully. And I think that's a great deal, and because of you. So it's a beautiful performance. I know I'm not the first person to tell you that, but you stole the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then I'm gonna get to you, Daniel. But Ryan and Charles, can you guys talk to me about, look, I know that feeling you get when you're like, okay, I'm ready to go to war. That's what I feel like making movies is. It's like you're literally, it's like the beginning of Saving Private Ryan. Like you're walking up to, a lot of stuff that's gonna come at you. And then also too, it's not fun necessarily, putting art out in these times, in these very turbulent times, in which people want to feel heard and they want to have a voice. And so, but can you guys talk to me about that feeling you got in your gut that says, like, we're gonna go for it, we're gonna do it, we're gonna take the hits, and we're gonna make some swings? What was it about this story that made you both say, all right, we'll put our brand on this, and we'll put this heavy burden on our backs?
Yeah, you gonna be a jump, Charles?
Yeah, you go first, man.
For me, it was I get everything you talking about, Lena, for real. For me, it was less complicated than that at first. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't have a brand, like I didn't have a company yet. You know what I mean? Like I was, it started. I was with Zenzi in Shaka's backyard. You know what I'm saying? Like eating his parents' cooking. And it was like, bro, like, what you working on? You know what I'm saying? And he was like, I'm thinking about doing this. And he pitched it similar to how he pitched it to you. It was the first time I had heard about William O'Neal in his pitch, and I was like, oh, that's what's up, because in the short amount of time I've been in the industry, I had heard about people trying to do Fred Hampton movies, and it being a struggle, and biopics are hard, and I think they've gotten actually harder since when we were young, because audiences are so much more critical, because they see so much more stuff. Attention spans are shorter, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to get away with a movie like Malcolm X. And even in thinking about what Malcolm X was, that's the story of a guy who was like 50 different people in one life. You know what I'm saying? So it made it okay to watch this one guy, because you really were watching several people, and the thing about Chairman Fred, he was the same guy always. You know what I'm saying? Like he was a moving train of a human being. You know what I'm saying? Like on a track that maybe pulled into different stations. Maybe it was the NAACP here. Maybe it was the Black Panthers there. But where he was going was always going to be where he was going. I think. You know what I'm saying? And he's a unique person. When you hear stories and folktales about him, but for making a movie like that, a lot of people, ran into trouble. So when Shaka pitched this one, I was like, oh wow, like I mean that sounds like something that could work. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, I mean the same thing. I mean, Black Out for Human Rights, which the three of us are part of. This organization of artists and activists, shining light on police brutality and kind of issues around its justice. And so we'd already. The first meeting was at my house, and Shaka created an amazing short film, went with it, and Ryan, it was his idea, so we collaborated on that. And then to get the call from Ryan, I think it was like 3 weeks after Black Panther. Of course, we were excited, and then we read the script and we were blown away by Shaka's take and the way that the amazing way that he and Will were going to enter this world. And then, we also had heard that the man Daniel was attached to it, he and Lakeith, and we were like, this is Black excellence all the way. And so, we jumped at the opportunity. And, the big thing is, like you said, it was going to war. I don't know if I necessarily look at it like we're going to war, but it's like we were definitely in the trenches together. And you want to be in trenches with people that your mission aligned with. And like, that was the one thing, like it may have been like a struggle at moments. We were out there grinding in Cleveland, making the film, but there was so much love that was part of it. And we all knew we were part of, like, there was a greater cause for making this movie about Fred Hampton. And so that just made it that much sweeter. And like any of the issues that we faced during it was kind of like negligible, because we knew that there was a bigger calling as to why this movie was coming together to get made.
Algie, I hit you, and Daniel, I got you next. From New Edition to Euphoria to this, how significant is it for you to be a part of a movie this important, this timeless is what I'll call it? You've been making decisions and building. How important is it for you to be a part of this family right now in your career?
Man, I don't even think the word important even sums it up for me. What I can say is I've just always known since I was younger that I've had a deeper purpose than what may be the surface, and that I have influence. And so without me even trying, the roles that I've been a part of have just come. When I did the New Edition story, that came after I was in LA homeless for a season, auditioning, trying to get it going. And then at the end of my time here, when I was supposed to leave, I booked New Edition. Then when I was shooting that, I booked Detroit. And so it's like every film that I've been a part of has just really just been God, and I was just watching myself be aligned. Thankful to my work ethic, of course, as well, but also just like the higher power. So to be a part of something like this, just like Ryan and Charles were saying, it was really family, and I really felt that. And I don't really feel that on every set. I'm gonna just be honest. I don't feel the way I felt on Judas and the Black Messiah, how I feel on Euphoria. I don't feel that same way. I didn't feel that same way on New Edition. It's a different type of weight that you're holding, first of all, the weight of responsibility. And then I think the family aspect helped ease that weight a little bit. The weight I had was nothing compared to what Daniel had, or Dominique, or Lakeith, or even Charles or Ryan, but everyone was pulling their own weight, and we was pulling it together. So I think to answer your question more in depth, to be a part of something that's, first of all, was tried to be hidden from us as a people, to be a part of something that speaks truth, to be a part of something that can help. I don't know exactly what this did for Mama Cool or Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., but I can just imagine their hearts, how they feel right now, just having the truth out. And so to be a part of that, something that will live on 20, 30 years from when I'm gone as a history lesson, it's a blessing.
How important was it for the city of Chicago to feel seen in this film in particular for all of you? What did the city of Chicago really mean to you guys?
It was, it was very challenging, to be honest with you. Because especially as a New Yorker who knows how I feel about New York represented in cinema, I know I have to imagine that, Chicagoans feel the same way about how Chicago's represented in cinema. So, early on, myself and Will, it was, when we were writing the script, my co-writer, Will Burson, it was something that we were kind of fixated upon. And I think I have critiques of the movie, but one of my personal critiques, in terms of the film, and it's all ultimately, I put on my shoulders, is that there were a few things about Chicago that I feel like we didn't quite capture accurately. For example, the racism in Chicago is a very specific kind of racism. And it's a tricky thing to kind of weave into a film, especially one that had to be, for so many reasons, as compact as ours was. And it was something that I think fell by the wayside. A few scenes that we ended up cutting from the film that alluded to that we ended up cutting for time. It was really rough for me to see them go. Similarly, it was rough for me, and Charles and Ryan can attest to this, when we came to the conclusion that we couldn't shoot in Chicago because we didn't have the budget, because we couldn't get the tax credit.
I understand.
That ripped our hearts out, you know what I mean? Because we'd scouted in Chicago. We spent about a week and a half there, a week there, just scouting the place and really getting a sense of, we were planning on shooting on the West Side. So it's something for me that when I've spoken to Chicagoans who've seen the film, and they say, like, I had an elder tell me they thought that we shot in Chicago after we finished rapping. They were shocked that we shot. I said, okay, that feels good. I was like, that feels good. But I personally, just knowing what I would have liked to have seen and what we accomplished, that's actually, a bit of a sore spot for me still.
I feel you. Daniel, my brother. Last question. You get the last question. Well, look, I was honored to participate in a New York Times article about you that Reggie wrote, called me. And I had to talk about you. And I said, this is like, what better thing to do than to talk about Daniel Kaluuya? What great, perfect. Put that on the schedule. You know what I said to him? I said, Daniel is one of the greats. He's a great. You are a descendant of Sidney Poitier. You walk in that line of great actors that will tell our stories. And I remember you were walking into this after Queen and Slim. And I remember you preparing yourself and going to a place. And I said, what Daniel does when he's on set is he leaves space for God to step in. You allow yourself to be surprised. You allow yourself to let a higher power move through you. And so I say that when you step into a ring with someone, it's an honor and a challenge, because we have to rise up to where you are. So with that being said, with this amazing performance added to another list of other amazing performances, I guess I want to ask, what are you looking for as you move forward into the next chapter, to the next performance? What are you seeking? Because I can tell that you need to be fed when you walk onto a set.
Yo, thank you for those words, man. Lena, already know. It's so funny. You used to talk about Chicago and how it meant to people in Chicago. And I saw you. I did the Queen and Slim ADR the day after my Chicago trip. Remember we were speaking to you about it.
Yeah.
But, thank you. It's funny, me and Shaka had an interview the other day, and I only became aware of it in the interview. And I was like, oh, what happens is something happens, and then like whether it's like getting a job for your first job, and so then you're more confident that you can get more jobs, and then like you just have more doors open, and then I just pick the scariest one. Let's go. I want that one. The one that I'm like, I don't know, I don't know, and that's the creative bit. I don't know. I want to see if I can. Like widows, I try to tell people I've got like a kind African face. Like I can't. That's a widow. I was like, I don't know if I can pull this up. I don't know, bro. I don't know. So I was like, that's scary. That's a scary one. That's a scary one. And for me, it's where the most growth is. Do you know what I'm saying? It's how I see it. Is if you just want to grow, Like I just want to grow. So for me at the moment is for me, and I think it's a challenge because you rarely see it in a cinematic space, and craft is joy. You know what I'm saying? For me, is that kind of, I think it's very difficult. You don't see it often. I remember back in the day, I was years ago, I don't know why, I was at this scheme and they showed a bit of like singing in the rain. They showed the dancing bit. And I was watching it. I never seen it on a big screen. I was like, yo, this shit's amazing.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Like, this is like, you're like, wow, I feel good. It's not even like it's funny or it's charming. It's just like, makes me feel good.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't know what that is. Like, I'm like, that's scary. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's because it's so easy to get that wrong or get that not accurate. It's so easy to do that. So I just don't know how you marry joy and cinematic craft in that. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's that we're so used to dramas and thrillers and in that kind of space. So for me, and it's the films that I grew up loving, bro. Like I grew up on the Wayans brothers. Like I grew up on that, like Wayans brothers, Robin Williams, Jim Carrey. Like I grew up on that. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like going, oh, what's that? Do you know what I'm saying? So that's for me. It's like, which is the one that's gonna help me grow the most?
Yeah, I love that, and I love just that term. It's like, I think it is, and I think Shaka, you can understand. I think everybody understand. It's a scary time to put your heart out into the world, because that's what I think art is. It's a piece of your heart you put out to the world to share it, and hopefully that people will see themselves in it. And right now, it's the time. And also too, and I know we got a couple of minutes, but Fred Hampton is his voice rings just as loud now, more so even to this sea of, I think, new up and coming revolutionaries that go, yeah, he's right. That's right. That's what we want to hear. And so, but it's still a scary time because those folks have been ignored for so long. They haven't been heard. They haven't been seen. And so now is a time for them to be heard. And sometimes our art is the catalyst for them to speak and for them to say, I have this issue, or do more there, this and that. And so there's nothing scarier than putting art into the world at the moment. Please watch Judas and the Black Messiah. If you know nothing about it, if you think you know everything about it, please watch it with an open heart, and with some courage. Please, it is an important piece of cinema. I'm glad it exists. And watch it with your friends if you can via Zoom, talk to your families about it. But please watch this story that's told by people that are for the people. They're for us, guys. So please watch this film, and let's support it, and let's share it, and let's make sure it gets the love and attention it deserves. I love all y'all. You know, we all,
Okay.
you know, at this
Feel
point.
so
I would
nice
say, Dominic, so good to
Thank
see
you, Lena.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lena. Thank you, Lena. Thank you so
Love
much.
y'all.